Following today's blowout jobs report, the stage could be set for Tesla stock to seriously accelerate higher in the coming days and weeks ahead. The Robotaxi event is going to be a jaw dropper from many accounts of people familiar with that event. We're going to get a lot of new information, new details regarding the next gen platform vehicles, the dual approach between Tesla operated robotaxis and robotaxis that are operated by Tesla owners. We are also expecting guidance from Elon Musk and the Tesla team when we can expect to get robotaxis, and that's ultimately the most important thing. And I've done a lot of thinking on this, whether or not Elon Musk is going to give us guidance for the robotaxi starting point. Nothing really matters besides that. From Wall Street's perspective and from the investor sentiment perspective, people don't really care until it happens, until it's here. I think we've seen this over the past couple of years with all of the improvements to FSD. Robotaxis are great in concept, but if it's going to take a long time, Wall Street does not care. The power, in fact, in investing long term is Wall Street is so focused on the short term, you can actually make a lot of money if you buy and hold stocks for the long term. See, stocks tend to be very accurately priced in the near term when there's problems going on, when times are good. Look at Nvidia for an example. You're pretty well priced on Nvidia. Things are going good. The stock has done very well. Now, are we talking about the next 5 or 10 years? Well, maybe competition comes in. Maybe things slow down for Nvidia. Maybe Nvidia loses market share, or their, almost 80% net margin to the bottom line could get compressed. No, we're not thinking about that. That's the negative side. Or maybe we're underestimating the long-term potential of Nvidia. Just to point out Nvidia for an example. Same is true with Tesla today. Tesla's pretty accurately priced for what Tesla is doing today. It's could be severely underpriced for the future, for robotaxis. I think we all know Tesla will eventually succeed in robotaxis. Like, that's not a surprise. The question really is when? Is it 2025 or is it 2026? Is it 2027? And on that, I've done a lot of thinking recently, and I think the simplest way to boil this down without making an hour-long video on this topic alone is I don't think Elon Musk and the Tesla team would do a robotaxi event if we're not going to get robotaxis within the next 6 to 12 months. At least a limited rollout of robotaxis. Yes, you're probably going to have to supervise them on big computer screens with employees, but I think it's safe to say it wouldn't make sense to do a robotaxi event if we are still years away from actually seeing robotaxis. And Wall Street tends to look out 6 to 12 months, 2 to 4 quarters, if you will, and they don't really care about things that are further out than that, but they care about things in that 2 to 4 quarter out range. And I think the launch of the Robotaxi network, if it falls within that 2 to 4 quarter range, which I'm starting to believe it will, then you get a parabolic rally in Tesla stock as Wall Street goes, maybe we were wrong about Tesla's robotaxi endeavors. Maybe they're actually coming in the relative near-term future, and that can start to get baked into valuation models. So from that standpoint, I have started to grow more bullish on Tesla stock and the robotaxi event, albeit Tesla stock went from the 260s now down to about $246 and some change. The price does look a little bit better as well to get some momentum following October 10th. Now, it's also worth remembering that there is many different things going on out there as far as macro and geopolitical, and these things are going to have a push and pull kind of effect on our markets. Now, just let me list them off. We had the port strike. That looks like it's resolved at least until January. Wall Street's going to stop worrying about that as much. So, negative catalyst, gone. Geopolitical tensions, if nothing happens, if Israel does not attack back, Wall Street's going to start getting over that as well. Now, when Israel attacks, if they target oil fields, that's going to be a bigger problem. as far as a macro event. That's going to cause oil potentially to reach $200 a barrel, as some commodities experts have pointed out. And at that point, that's a catalyst to push us into a recession. That's going to be a bigger deal if that happens, when that happens. Is it going to happen, though? I mean, I think the Biden administration, I think Israel, I think they understand what kind of problems that would cause for the, oil markets at large, for their economies at large. And I really don't see a strike on Iran's oil facilities as a high likelihood at this point. Now, would it make sense for Israel to do that? Probably. But the consequence of doing that is, well, potentially a recession in the US, or maybe a global recession at that point. And I also think at this point, Wall Street's kind of expecting an attack on the oil fields. Anything less than that, it's probably going to be seen as a buy the news event. Now, if we do get an attack on the oil fields, on the oil capabilities of Iran, I don't think that's fully priced in. So I think that would cause some pretty significant downside for markets. But anything less than that, and I think we're okay. Now, I know a lot of people as well like to point out the election, and that the election is going to be this big volatility catalyst. And I honestly don't think it needs to be. I think the state of the economy is a much more pressing issue for the markets, the state of the labor market, geopolitical conflicts. It's not the election. The election's not front and center. So I don't think that needs to be, one, a negative catalyst before the election, but a positive catalyst after the election. I don't think markets need to respond that much to the election, where you normally get this election correction and then you tend to rally after the election. I don't think you need to see the correction. I don't think you're going to see the rally either. Certainly not the rally. I mean, you're already priced for perfection in markets on a headline S&P or NASDAQ basis. I don't think that would be much of a reason to rally, at least in my opinion. Even consider right now, markets are not even thinking about the election generally at large. That's not what is impacting markets on a day-to-day trading basis. Now, in recent weeks and months, the attention has really been on the economy, because whether we like to admit it or not, Tesla is a cyclical company. Autos at large are cyclical companies. If people are doing bad, if the economy is bad, deliveries are going to slow down, sales are going to slow down. Now, Tesla's kind of defying the odds, because they're actually growing deliveries from Q3 of 2023 to Q3 of 2024. They were actually up about 7%, whereas Volkswagen, whereas GM, what looks to be Ford as well, Stellantis, they're all down on a year-over-year basis. Tesla is not. So Tesla is showing that exceptionalism in their respective industry, not to mention energy generation and storage that's up 73% year over year. So the general worry, I think, under the surface of markets and investors is, are we actually going to get a soft landing? Is the economy slowing down? Is it not? Is the labor market doing well? Is it not? And following today's blowout jobs report, I think that buys us some time at the bare minimum. See, the reality is, whether we like to admit it or not, the numbers are weird, okay? I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if it's just the way we're calculating the data or what's going on. The numbers are weird. What you're hearing and feeling on Wall Street is the economy sucks. A lot of people, 50% of people, according to a firm, believe we're already in a recession, and it's becoming a lot harder for people to find jobs. That's the reality on Wall Street. Go talk to people. They will tell you that, unless they're higher, classes. Okay, great. But yet we just got a blowout jobs report that shows the unemployment rate has actually fell from 4.26% down to 4.05%, almost back in the 3% range in the last 2 months. I mean, how do you rectify that? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I think, yes, this does buy us some time in the near term. The economy's good. We're heading into a Robotaxi event that's going to be successful for Tesla and probably blow a lot of people away, let's be honest. We do want to still be cautious for, I believe, Q1 of 2025. Really from November, December through January, February, March of 2025. That 5 month period is going to tell us a lot. If the economy is holding up, by then we're going to have another 1% or so of rate cuts under our belts, then I will start to grow more confident on a potential soft landing. But I do think the gap between what we're seeing on Wall Street and what Main Street is feeling and seeing will narrow. And that means the economic data will worsen, at least to some degree, over the next coming months. And I do think that can mean downside for markets. I think the bigger concern right now, at least for me, is Q3 earnings season. I mean, we have had FedEx, Costco, KB Homes, we've had Nike, Levi's, we've had Darden Restaurants, we've had a couple other companies that have reported so far, Micron. The only company that really had good earnings was Micron. All of the other ones came in like bad or somewhat bad. Costco was somewhat bad, couple metrics beat, couple metrics came in, worse than that. Nike was bad. FedEx was the worst. I mean, FedEx had scary earnings. They said, quote, I want you guys to remember this because this could live in infamy. FedEx reported earnings on September 19th, the day after the Fed cut rates 50 basis points. And the CEO said, the size of the Fed rate cut yesterday signifies just how weak the current environment is, end quote. I mean, that's all I really needed to hear to say the economy is probably not as strong as the economic data is showing us. Now, again, the government, the Fed, they can lie to you. There's no repercussions to lying to you. In fact, it's incentivized to lie to you right now, at least if you're the Fed and the economy is slowing down, you're concerned. The last thing you want to do is panic people and actually start a recession, okay? So, I mean, it's obvious, okay? It's so obvious, it's stupid. Now, does that mean the data is false? Not necessarily, but can you believe the data 100%? No. But what you can believe is company earnings, because they will literally go to prison if they lie to you. So I think that's going to be the big concern or big focus of Wall Street over the next, month or two is Q3 earnings and what does guidance look like for 2025. And I have a feeling we're going to be disappointed, and markets being priced for perfection and what could be a disappointing earnings season does not exactly spell well for equities. But again, specifically for Tesla stock, we kind of already know what earnings are going to look like because we get those delivery numbers, we get the energy storage deployment numbers. We're expecting things are going to be pretty good. Now, question is, what do margins look like? Margins probably got a little bit better the last, month or month and a half or so of Q3. You actually had rates falling globally pretty aggressively. So that means for every Tesla that Tesla was selling, they were buying down less interest rate, which should be accretive to bottom line margins. So we'll see what happens to margins. That's going to be the big question for Tesla, but really it's going to come down to the Robotaxi event. Robotaxi event on October 10th, earnings for Tesla scheduled around October 16th. I'm not sure if that's an actual confirmed date yet or an estimated date, but should be October 16th, around that area. And again, it's going to come down to, when do we get the Robotaxi network? I think Elon's going to give us a 2025 timeline. Whether that's the first half of the year or the second half of the year really does not matter. And that could send Tesla stock materially higher in the near term following October 10th because of this jobs report that we just got today. I don't think there's going to be any other economic data that's more important than the jobs report. This kind of paved the way for a soft landing. Question is, are we priced for that? How do earnings come in? What do companies say? Blah, blah, blah. But this did alleviate a lot of fears that people had about a potential hard landing. And as I've reported to you guys in the last couple of days, the last 2-3 weeks or so, option activity has really ramped up in Tesla stock with a lot of very bullish bets heading on to really the 2025 options chain. So Wall Street's starting to expect Tesla stock is going to move higher over the next coming months. And honestly, I don't think that is a bad bet whatsoever. If things continue to hold up, at least between now and the election, then I think Tesla stock probably rallies between now and the election. Again, you have geopolitical issues, you have what could be some election fears, although I really don't think markets are going to focus on that too much. Even though you have those things, I think after the Robotaxi event, Tesla stock's probably going to rally pretty significantly. Again, yes, because we did have a rally from the, 180s up to the 265s or so, but you really didn't get a lot of hype in there. It was really justified via the delivery numbers we were getting or insurance numbers out of China that we were getting and other catalysts along the way. You really didn't get a lot of that Robotaxi hype. You didn't get any gap ups. You really didn't get too many like big green days. You had a couple in there, but it didn't look like there was that much hype for the Robotaxi event. And it was pretty early. Wall Street tends to like hype things up really the week and a half before the event comes itself. So today could be some Robotaxi hype starting to build. I would expect over the next coming trading days, heading into October 10th, which is going to be next week on Thursday, you're probably going to get more of that bullish activity. Now, as far as where I think Tesla stock can go after the Robotaxi event, if we do get guidance for the Robotaxi network to start in 2025, even in some kind of, small capacity, I would expect a breakout above $300 per share. Again, because a lot of people have counted Tesla out. Tesla's really a standout in the auto industry right now as far as actual deliveries, not to mention energy generation and storage. The Fed's cutting rates, the soft landing narrative is here, and now we're going to have another big growth driver for Tesla, which will be the Robotaxi that launches in 2025. Not to mention the lower price Tesla models as well. That's another huge catalyst in and of itself. Some people think we're going to get new details on those coming October 10th. I personally don't think so. I think sometime in December we'll probably get a, Model 2 or lower price compact Tesla, event, probably in December. But could we get new details on that? Absolutely. I would at least expect a break into the 300s following October 10th. I mean, as long as we get guidance for Robotaxis in 2025. If we don't, then Tesla stock probably sells off. No matter what is said, no matter what is demonstrated, no matter what is done. Guidance or not. That's all that matters. And I personally don't think Tesla's going to put on this event and not give us an estimated start time for the Robotaxi event in 2025. That just doesn't make sense to have this event and then say, hey, we're expecting this by 2026. Like, there's a whole ass year we haven't even entered yet. Like, that just logically doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Tesla would sell off if that is what is said, 2026. But 2025, I think, is much more likely. I think there's probably an 85% chance that we get guidance for 2025 to be the year the Robotaxi network starts. Yes, it's going to be small at first, does not matter. They just care about, is this actually going to be something that adds to Tesla's numbers? Is this actually something that is going to become a reality? We've heard about Robotaxi for a long time, and now it's time to actually get moving on that, to get something going. And I think that's what this October 10th event is all about for Tesla. So let me know what you think about this information down below in the comment section. Just wanted to come on here and share some of my thoughts and why I think really we're kind of in a sweet spot for Tesla. And even after October 10th, Tesla stock could rally quite a bit, in my opinion. So let me know what you think down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.